Hi, families. Welcome to week 6 of the school closure and packet 3 of the learning packets. Today, I'm going to do hopefully a short video for you to kind of go through all of the activities that is in the packet for this week. And if you're getting into an activity, you're unsure of something, you can go back and look at the video to see my suggestions for how you can have your child do that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the activities now. Let's start with activity 1 in reading. How many verbs can you list in 5 minutes? Simply set a timer and have your child list verbs. Remind them that a verb is, you can use action verbs, so things that they do. There are also linking verbs, but just have them focus on action verbs. So if they can do it, it's a verb. The examples that were given are run and skip. Now, we don't want them writing sentences about all of those verbs, so only do 5 of the verbs that they choose, and they should write those in sentences. Activity 2 is helping them think about adjectives. So it says, look in a mirror and describe yourself. I would have your child just have a sheet of paper to write down a list of adjectives to begin with. This will help them with brainstorming what they want to write in their paragraph. Their paragraph should be at least 5 sentences and should include a topic and closing sentence. Don't let them just throw down sentences of, I look pretty, I have brown hair. Really encourage them to be good 3rd grade writers. Activity 3, they are going to read a book or a chapter book to someone at home, and then they need to summarize what they read. A summary is just another way to restate or retell what the story was about. We do want to make sure that they are including the characters that were in the story, what was the setting, and then the plot is the beginning, middle, and end. So if you have them think about those things, they should be able to create at least a 5-sentence paragraph. We have trained them that they need to include the title of the book, or the chapter in this case, at the very first sentence. So they want to tell the reader what they're writing about before they even start explaining what they're writing about. All right, in math this week, this first activity sounds complicated, so I really want to explain this to you. I'm going to do an example for you. So it says you decide you want to plan a party, determine the number of guests who will attend your party. You can have as few as 6 and as many as 10 guests. So that's telling you how many party bags you can make. Then you're going to choose party favors from the list below and write the number of each favor to place in a bag. So you can have more than one of those favors in each bag. You can actually choose up to 10. So here are the list of items that your child can put in their bags: decks of cards, notebook, bubbles, markers, pens, stickers. They now have to calculate how many of each of those they would want all together. So the example that was given is if you're making 6 bags and you put 2 decks of cards in each bag, you would need 12 decks because 2 times 6 equals 12. So in the example that I'm going to do, I'm going to choose 5 party bags because that's an example that your child can't use. So I'm going to have 5 guests come to my party, so I need 5 bags. And then I'm going to pick how many of each of these I want to put in the bag. I only want to put 1 deck of cards in the bag. I'll put 2 notebooks in the bag, no bubbles. How about 6 markers, maybe 3 pens, and 10 stickers are going to go into the bag. That's only 1 bag. Now I need to figure out how many of each of those I need all together. So to do that, I have to do some multiplying. So I'm going to multiply the number of bags, so 5 bags, times however many of those items I chose. And I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting this all on one screen. I have 1 deck of cards in each bag, so 5 times 1 is 5. I have 5 bags times 2 notebooks for each bag. That is 10 notebooks altogether. 5 bags times 0 bubbles is 0 bubbles altogether. 5 bags times 6 markers in each bag is 30 markers altogether. 5 bags times 3 pens equals 15. I think you're getting the picture. And then 5 bags times 10 stickers in each equals 50 stickers altogether. And that's all they have to do for that activity. All right, activity 2. This one also is a little complicated if you're not familiar with doing this kind of stuff. So area, they were already taught this year, is length times width. But what we're them to do in this activity is instead of using a traditional ruler, they're going to use their shoe as their unit. So whatever shoe they choose, they're going to use it to count the number of times that shoe would go across the length and the width of the object listed below. Then they would calculate and record the area of each of the objects. Remember, the area is length times width. Don't forget to record the length and width using how many shoe lengths the item is. So let's just say that the door had a length of 15 shoes and had a width of 7 shoes. They would have to multiply 15 times 7. Now, those are larger numbers for your child to work with, so you're going to have to help them with breaking that down. So have them do 7 times 10, 70, plus 7 times 5, 35, and then have them add it together to get their answer of 105. Hopefully they won't have too many large measurements like that, but if so, just help them along with that. All right, and they'll do those for those different examples. All right, in activity 3, this is pretty straightforward. They're going to fill in the blanks with the missing numbers to make the equation true. So they're going to think 390 plus what is 990, and they'll simply just type in that number in the blank area. All right, moving on to science. In activity 1, they are going to be making a bridge. They're going to use 2 sheets of paper, and they want it to go at least 6 inches. The bridge must also be at least 3 inches wide. They need to place pennies on the bridge. Want to figure out how many pennies can they place on the bridge before it collapsed. They'll type their answer. They can make improvements so that the bridge can try to hold more pennies. Then they need to share with me what they did to make their bridge stronger and how many more pennies were they able to hold. Activity 2. What invention would you make if you had a lot of magnets? Draw or describe your invention. Explain why you think that invention would be a good idea. So they can type the answer for their explanation, and then you can send me a picture of their drawing. Activity 3, draw an example of balance forces. Label anything in the picture you think is important, then write to explain your picture shows balanced forces and the motion that it caused. So we learned about balanced forces and unbalanced forces back in January and February. If for some reason your child's having trouble with remembering that, just a simple Google search, you should be able to find some videos for children on the forces, but have them try to think balanced forces in the sense of tug of war. That was some examples that we used in the classroom. We also thought about motion. So with balanced forces, you don't typically see motion, but with unbalanced forces, you would see motion. Again, you can have them type their explanation here and then send the picture of their drawing to me. After they do balanced forces, they need to then do unbalanced forces. Social studies. The first activity is called My 2020 COVID-19 Interview. It says they are living through history right now. 100 years from now, students just like you will be reading about this time in history. Take a moment to interview your parents about what they are experiencing during this time. If you want to write down the responses, that would be a great idea. So I left space that if they want to interview you and record their responses, which I encourage them to do, they can do that right here. I believe there are 8 questions. Oh, sorry, 10. All right, activity 2. They need to read this passage about what is currency. After they read it, they are going to simply fill in the blanks with words from the text. I've asked them just to erase the lines to replace it with answers. So money comes in blank bills and blank coins. They would just simply erase the line and type their answer. If they want to put it in bold or change the color of the font, that's helpful too. And then the last activity for the week, activity 3, is about goods and services, which we had just started learning about at the end, right before we went on this school closure. It describes what a good is and a service is. So goods are things that can be kept, you can eat them, you can kind of put them in your hands is how we described them in the classroom. A service is more something that someone does for you. They're doing a task or a job. So then there's eight examples where they have to read and either decide if it's a good or a service. And they would simply just, again, write their answer behind each example. They can change the font color or make their text bold. Well, I hope that this video was helpful. And if you have any questions, please don't forget to email or text me or even give me a phone call, and I'll be happy to help you.